Confrontation.
Hey, yerd, what up, my people? How y'all feeling? I'm feeling righteous on this beautiful day. And to everybody who caught that quick lie earlier, I appreciate y'all checking in. Shouts out to KRUP for checking up on me, making sure I'm healthy and alive. But today, I'm gonna give y'all a relationship story. 1 of 3 stories from a survivor membership. Now, I'll be dropping one of these every week, along with a brand new upload with 3 stories in 1 video for the survivors. Hold on now. I ain't forgot about my lieutenants or my soldiers. If you caught that live earlier, like I said, I'm working on the story right now, and I want to discipline myself to not drop nothing new until it's done. But man, the content that I got backed up is crazy, to say the least. But I ain't gonna hold y'all up too much. Let's get straight into it. I go by D-Jack, but you can call me D.
So I go extra hard on that hard flow.
Call me D. Bursting out the front door of her house, Jennifer was cuffing her 1-year-old baby boy. A ride waited for them as she damn near jumps in the car. She directs him to her mother's house, which was only a 10-minute drive, and upon pulling up, she could see her mama on the porch. Her mama stood up, seeing her daughter's crying face get out the car, holding her limp grandson. Knocking over her glass of wine, she runs off the porch, meeting her in the middle of the walkway, and she asking her what the hell happened to her baby. Jennifer could barely speak. With the anger and the guilt, she had this gaze in her eye, and it was almost like she wasn't even there in the moment. Her mama grabbed the boy out of her arms, telling her to come in the house with her right now. Snapping back, Jenny asked her mother could she watch over him while she went to go do something very important. And for one last time, but angry herself too now, what the hell happened to that baby, Jenny? Jenny paused again, but she knew there was no way she was going to leave out of here without some type of explanation. And she went on to tell her she thinks her friend, her best friend at that, Tammy, hurt her son, but on purpose. She woke him up before they left the house, but he was in and out of consciousness the whole way there. Telling herself there's no way this grown-ass woman who was now pregnant herself didn't know not to give something like this to a baby, or any child for that matter. Her mama got more questions, but Jenny, she cut her off, not to waste any more time than she already did, telling her to keep him up and do not let him fall asleep. She asked why, and she said that she's scared that he may not wake up again. She telling Jenny to call 911 like yesterday if you think it's that serious, but she tell her no, I can't, and I won't. Jenny's mother's face went from anger to concern real quick, asking what the hell she done did now. But Jenny, she already on her way out the door, and she just says you know why. Not wanting to get CPS involved no more than they already were from her previous case involving her now baby father, Troy. All her mother could hear was the door slamming shut, so hard that it bounced back from the lock, not even closing all the way. She got her grandson cuffed in her arms. She walking towards the door, watching her daughter get back in that car, tucking the gun inside her hoodie pocket. Jenny sat in the passenger seat of that car, taking stock of her situation, watching everything outside that car window fly by in slow motion, going back and forth in her mind about what the hell she was gonna do. Was it the right thing to do? Was it smart? Thinking about what the hell am I doing right now? Feeling like she was going f***ing insane, having a full-on conversation with herself in her own mind. She patting the gun on the temple of her head, letting out a scream that scared the family member who was taking her back home. This member also being the father of Tammy's baby, which is her older brother, Tony. So as hard and conflicting this was for her, it was the same for him. Telling her she needs to think about the baby. You need to think about the baby. She screaming back that she was, but Tony said no, that baby, pointing in the direction of her stomach, implying that he knew she was pregnant. Also, Jenny whipped her head back at her brother, asking how the hell you know that? And without words, his face expression gave her the obvious answer. It was Tammy, her best friend, Tony's baby mama, also the evil bitch who put her child's life in danger. Her brother asked her, so who is the father? And Jenny sat there not saying a mumbling word. He turned himself all the way around, giving Jenny his full attention. Are you still fucking with him? Jenny knew exactly who he was talking about. A guy named Corey, who is now the father of the growing baby in her stomach. It's also the same guy who's responsible for the death of her firstborn's father, Troy. She started to break down, saying all of that happened before Troy died, also saying Troy got himself killed because of his own jealousy. Tony couldn't deny that. Troy lost his shit after that breakup, watching his friend of 10 plus years change within a few months. But they all grew up together, so Troy was like a brother to Tony. Jenny told him even if she still wanted to be with Corey, it would be her choice and nobody would stop it. A few weeks after Troy's funeral, she said she needed space for a while just to grieve and figure out her next move. Because yeah, it was Troy's fault, but he was still a loving father to his son, who was present in his life since birth and became a solid member of her family. Now we're going to go back and tell how Jenny and Troy's relationship ended for the worse. Jenny would end up breaking up with Troy 7 months ago, and she would meet Corey 4 months after. But in that short time, he showed Jenny he was the man that she always thought Troy could be, saying she felt her and Troy's relationship was over a long time ago. By having a baby, it gave her second thoughts on leaving him. But Troy, he would make that decision very easy by cheating on her yet again. And he would take this breakup super hard. But he never wavered for being there for his son. So Jenny made sure not to make it that hard on him than it already was, by not letting him come around to see his child. But it was a decision she would soon regret a great deal in the near future, because Troy was so close with her family. They seen and interacted with each other more than she would like. She started to distance herself, saying she thought it would be best if he didn't come around to her mother's house, saying whenever it was time for him to spend time with his son, she would just drop him off. Jenny, she worked a lot, so her mom, she would watch the baby until she got off of work. And several times over, while picking him back up, there's Troy playing cards with the family, eating with the family, watching movies with the family. Even on the days he's supposed to take the baby with him, there he was with the family. And Jenny thought that gave him some type of false hope that they was gonna get back together, hope that she was not trying to give. Now almost 6 months after they broke up, Troy ends up getting a call telling him that Jenny was out on a date with a new guy. And ever since that call, he wasn't the same. He didn't know who called him. He didn't know the name of the person. All he knew, it was a female. It didn't take long before Troy started stalking Jenny, calling her 20 times a day, and literally standing outside her door at weird hours, begging her to take him back. Having enough at this point, she opens up her bedroom window from upstairs and tells Troy, "I forgave you a long time ago, but I'm not in love with you anymore. So for you and our son's sake, please move on and accept it. I had to, more than you know." Now those choice of words was like falling bricks inside that man's chest. But instead of going home and drowning in his sorrows like every other night, he would kick down Jenny's front door right there on the spot, which was the same night Corey would end his life, thinking that he was a guy trying to rob the place. Corey knew about Troy, but not the conversation he was currently having with his girl outside the window, while he was downstairs cooking dinner for her. And Corey, he always carried a sidearm, so his draw was quick when he heard the noise from the door being kicked, and Troy never stood a chance. Corey, already upped and ready, put 3 holes in his chest the moment he passed by the kitchen entrance, not even realizing it was Troy until he hit the ground. He even apologized to Jenny, saying that if he knew it was him, he wouldn't even put the gun out. But who knows what Troy was planning to do, so maybe she was lucky that he was there that night. Corey gave Jenny his gun and would spend every single weekend teaching her how to use it until he could get her her own personal gun. Back to present day with Jenny and her older brother Tony sitting in the car. Jenny told Tony she felt it was a little too early to be shacked up with the man who put him down. She still wanted to respect her family's grief. She told Tony to drive her home, where she thought Tammy was still passed out after a full night of drinking when she was supposed to be babysitting. Them all being in their early 20s, Tammy was the only one who still lived like a rebellious teenager. Wild parties every weekend, smoking weed all day, and neglecting her priorities. She got a Section 8 voucher fresh out of high school, and she applied for food stamps shortly after. And Jenny herself thought it would make Tammy complacent with all the government handouts, and she was correct. Tony asked Jenny what exactly did Tammy do? What actually happened? Before I take you back home, what did she do? And Jenny gives him the full rundown. She asked Tammy could she watch her son until the next morning, so her and Corey could spend the night with no distractions or interruptions. And she knew Tammy was going to turn it down, probably planning on partying that night, so she offered to pay her for it. Tammy changed her tune real quick and agreed. Jenny knew she had a drinking problem, but thought the last thing she would do is get wasted while she was pregnant, babysitting someone else's child. So the next morning would come, and Corey is dropping off Jenny. She all smiles. She opens up her door, missing her baby boy, calling out his name. And she thought it was weird because the house was quiet and it's usually loud in the morning around this time. Her son gets up around the same time every single day and it's never this quiet. And then she started to hear tapping going across the floor upstairs, and she could hear Tammy's 4-year-old daughter screaming, "Auntie, Auntie, Auntie Jenny." So she runs up to see what's going on, and she goes into the first bedroom, which was hers, and see her son laid out on the floor with Tammy's daughter standing over top of him. She asks her what was wrong, what was going on, and like most children at that age, they're very honest, telling Jenny that mommy gave him the bottle with the mountains on it, the same bottle that Jenny saw when she first walked through the door, a natural ice glass bottle sitting on a coffee table. Everything in her didn't want to go to that thought that her best friend gave her son liquor or beer or anything of that magnitude. Tammy's daughter started to cry, so Jenny would pick her up and cheer her up and asked her where's mommy, and she pointed down the hallway. They go into the next room. Jenny puts her daughter down at the edge of the bed, and there's Tammy. She finds her stretched out over the bed with 2 beer bottles on the end table. All the screaming Jenny didn't wake Tammy up at all. As much as she wanted to beat her ass, she had to make sure her son was still alive. Not trying to waste any more time, she goes back in the room, seeing her son with his eyes open, and it gave her a lot of relief. But it was obvious that he was drunk as fuck. Tried to give him as much water as she could and made her way through the front door. Now I'm back in present time with Jenny and her older brother on their way back home. Tony don't want to believe what Jenny told him at all. He know Tammy a wild girl, but never this reckless. They were finally making a turn on Jenny Street, and she pokes her head up and she Tammy stumbling out of the house, and she jumps out before Tony fully stopped the car. But she also wondered, like, what the hell? She knows her son is with her mother, but where is her 4-year-old daughter? And here come Jenny running down on Tammy, pointing the gun at her face, asking her why the hell she do that to her son. Tammy looking like she don't know what the hell she talking about, while Tony runs over to stand in the middle of both of them. He turns around to Jenny and says the only reason he brung her here was to find a better solution. And Jenny looked at him like he was speaking Spanish. He had to know it was gonna be smoke. He had to know that this shit won't gonna end on a light note. And then told him she bet any kind of money that that baby in her stomach ain't even yours. Tammy eyes wide the f open at this point, telling her not to tell Tony that. And Tony was a little suspicious because any innocent person would most likely just say it ain't true. Flat out. So he starts to question everything that he thought, thinking about the club nights, the lies, the fact that the time span don't add up. 4 months ago, he was consoling Troy. He was trying to make it so he doesn't go off the edge and do something to himself. Almost spent weeks at a time at his house. So he's really starting to believe that the baby is not his. And it turns into a full-blown argument between him and his baby mama. And Jenny see that he is distracted now. So Jenny gets herself around him and pistol whipped her right across the head with the butt of the gun. Tony holding her back, making sure he don't kill her. And Jenny not hearing it. She blacking the out. And Tammy, she makes her way to her car, locking the doors so she can't get in. And Jenny does the same thing, hitting the window with the butt of the gun, hitting the window until it breaks, shatters all over the place. And she gets to hitting her again, until Tony finally got the gun out of her hand and pulled her away. In the midst of everything, they hear a car pulling up. They all look behind them, and it's Corey, Jenny's current boyfriend. And Tony giving Jenny this stern look like, why the f is he here? What is he doing here? And Jenny doesn't know because she didn't call him here. Corey gets out the car with his hands raised. I don't want to cause no problems. I'm just here to get my gun back from Jenny because I gotta make a business trip and I don't want to make it without it. And Tony said, good timing, but you're a little too late, pointing at Tammy looking like she half dead in the damn car. Corey looking at Jenny like she was a whole nother person, asking her to put the gun down. Let's go in the house and talk about this. Put the gun down. And Tammy interrupts everybody, saying no, we ain't going nowhere. Stumbling out of the car, mouth bloody, face a mess. And she says to Corey,
you supposed to be dead.
Everybody looking around like, what the fuck is she talking about? What is going on? And she doubles down. You supposed to be dead. I called Troy that day so he can kill you. I knew he would, but here you are, still his lady. She's sitting there laughing like this shit is funny. And Jenny finally puts all these pieces together. Tammy put all this shit in motion. So not only did she make whatever happened to her baby daddy, but she now felt like giving her son some beer to make him fall asleep was on purpose. So she didn't bother to ask her no more questions. But one question she did ask was, why did you want my baby daddy to kill my boyfriend? Your boyfriend scarred me for life. She said, what? What you mean? What you mean scarred you for life? What did he do to you? Corey trying to push Jenny into the house like, look, don't listen to her, she drunk. And she push him off. I'm like, no, what is you hiding? Like, what's going on? Yeah, Corey, what you hiding? You still married, right? And on second thought, Jenny said, yeah, let's take this in the house. So they all go in the house and they sit in the living room to talk about the whole situation. And it comes out that Corey is still married to another woman, a woman he's been married to for the past 15 years. And the only reason Tammy knows that is because he dated her when she was in high school, but he wasn't. He was a full-grown man. And Jenny looked over at Corey, telling him she didn't care about them dating when she was in high school. And she doesn't care that he was married, but she does care that you were an underage girl while you were a full-grown man. She does care if you are still married. Everybody looking at Corey waiting for an answer, because no, he didn't make this happen, but everything went in motion because of his decisions. And before Corey can give an answer,
Hustler talk, no comment though, just paper chase. Chasing my dreams, my